It's interesting to me how, as we are here longer on the planet through our journeys, how oftentimes we come across things that we maybe go, God, I'm so much more wiser with that how it shows up now than how it used to. And I've noticed for myself the last week or two that there's been different situations that has come up about really recognizing the wisdom I've put together for myself from the couple decades I've been here, like almost six. So, Tom, I know that you and I have been regrouping a bit about the where we're at in our lives and the cycles, and so I'd like you to just share a bit about what you put together lately. What's come up for you about this?
Yeah, this conversation started when we were kind of comparing notes on some of the younger people that we work with, and some of the thoughts that I know that I've been experiencing as I'm a very mature guy in the workplace, uh, from chronological age point of view, at
Compared to the
least.
others,
Yeah,
yes.
compared to the others, and a couple of things that really strike me is how the young folks actually have a lot of talent and wisdom, and I can see that they're old souls in young bodies or younger bodies, kind of a thing. And from a spiritual perspective, I often think like, they could be like my grandfather's, kind of era people that have come back now. And of course, they're going to be, sharp and have some wisdom and sensitivity. And then the other angle was noticing that as I've moved through life, as I've moved through my 7 year cycles, even though that I've done a lot of my spiritual work, or worked on myself from that spiritual perspective, or which really is just unfolding more spiritual awareness over time, and naturally maturing as well, that uh, the different types of thoughts start to move in at different ages. Things that didn't concern me 10, 15 years ago, I start to have thoughts about that. And really what I'm talking about is some of those thoughts about being older and getting older, and some of the concerns that come up. And I also notice it, amongst my peers that are, in a similar age group.
Yeah, for myself, I know the thing that for understanding about who we are as a soul and the guidance we have, and that we all come from one place, the universe, God, the all, whatever. And for me, recognizing these truths has given me such how do I want to say this? It's given me more backing. Really, that's the word. It's given me more backing to work with situations that years ago I may have been stressed about, thought were chaotic, maybe even stimulated me really a lot inside. And I know this just a few months ago, my one of my daughters had a child, and so I've just recently been connected with it. It's been so wonderful seeing her interact with this young soul in a physical body, and me stepping back and allowing her to have her experiences. And it's interesting because, like, she has a mother-in-law who doesn't step back, who steps in and who tries to, you know, instigate and give her 2 cents worth. And so my daughter gets a little stimulated by that, which I totally understand, because years ago, when I was in the place I was at energetically, I didn't understand about, just accepting where people are at, and not being stimulated by the ways they want to come across towards others. So I guess that's my big part. And like you said, because you and I both work in jobs where we have young people, and I would say half of my coworkers are in their 20s and the rest are in their late 40s and 50s. So it's interesting dynamic to interact with such wise people and such, young people with such knowledge, but yet understand like the spiritual part of life. It's quite different.
I guess what I hear you saying, and what I heard this morning from both of us, is that, boy, we've learned something along the way. And we don't have the same reactions to things, for the stress as we did, when we were younger. And I'm in an opportunity, though, where I get to kind of revisit, because I'm in a certain environment that sort of reminds me of areas that I haven't fully regrouped yet. And I, might get a little stressed and that kind of thing. And one of the things that really strikes me and Robin mentioned this a bit in his interview with you,
Yeah.
with regards to healing himself of cancer, Robin Tim So, which is a great episode, that, to keep competing, keep that pressure of I'm competing through life is as I get older, I think there's more wear and tear there. And almost I've wondered from a spiritual perspective, is this why we kind of age and, you've got to wind down physically? Because in a way, it allows me to go, okay, wait, I can't really operate the way I used to operate. My body's not going to take it anymore. I'm too sensitive now and I'm kind of over it. And one of the solutions is just to really relax and allow the flow of energy and respect myself and all those things we've been sharing about. But what I'd also wanted to kind of cover is like, what are some of the thoughts that start coming up as one hits those retirement age years? And then what happens physically afterwards? So I thought I'd share a little bit about that.
Yeah, that'd be
And
great. Go for it.
okay. So I think one of the thoughts that really is pervasive is that, okay, I'm a certain age now and I should be retired or I need to retire. And then as I'm out and about and I play music with older musicians, who have retired, like officially retired and not doing any sort of business work, anymore. They're just playing music and living off their retirement and Social Security and so forth. Is I notice they start to think old as well. And one of the things I enjoy about being active and I'm healthy and in good shape is that I'm still involved, within my environment because there's still things to refine, and rather than just escape them. And I mean, I don't mind if somebody's, retired and they're taking a breather and they've kind of accomplished enough spiritually this lifetime, great. But I've started to become aware of the thoughts that creep in, and the kinds of discussions that people start having. And then it seems to me, I have a theory that it sort of accelerates the aging process when I start thinking old. And just accepting or allowing that thought to say, well, I'm getting up a little slower. I'm getting old, just saying that to yourself instead of, hey, maybe I need to do some more squats,
Yeah.
because I don't move enough around, or maybe I need to eat healthier or that kind of thing.
We exist in a highly intellectual world, and often the feeling part where your inner wisdom lies gets left out. There's a way to feel more in balance with all parts of yourself. This way is by accessing a spiritual bigger picture of who you are as a soul. Check out the link in the show notes to access a free video series created by the Wayshowers College to support your journey and moving through this game of life. Your intellect and feeling parts will love it.
Well, it's interesting you should bring this up about age because I was just at an event last night at a concert with one of my friends who today she's turning 69. And a couple came up to us afterwards. And so, okay, we were in the back. And so we were standing up dancing as we do. And then the guy's like, hey, I want to come down front. And of course, we just jammed up front, right? But most of the crowd sat, most of the crowd didn't move. And I didn't look at what age they were or anything. I was just having a super fun time. But afterwards, a young couple actually in their late 40s, mid to late 40s, came up to us and said, hey, we loved watching you guys dance. And we're like, okay, yeah, we had a blast. And my friend said, I recognized years ago that she also understands spiritually and recognizes the importance of being in the present and how to work with spirit and etc. So we're of like mind in the sense of how to kind of chat with people and understand and give them a different perspective. So she said to this couple that I recognized a few years back the importance that when I'm in the present and something happens that I just need to work with it and go with it. She goes, because I may look back when I'm 80 or 85 and go, I wish I didn't let all those opportunities slip by when I could have gotten up and danced at that concert. I could have, went down and met that person. I could have like the things to not hold back. And it's interesting because that really just, I don't know, for, a moment, it just gave me that inspiration of, yeah, is so important in the moments of our lives, no matter what they are, to really embrace them and to just go full throttle, right? Throttle up.
Yeah, and I'd say also just start noticing the thoughts that will creep in. Like, okay, I'm a certain age, so now, I should just sit here, or um, whatever the concept, it's unbecoming for me, a person of my maturity, to go up and, go wild. Of course, many people these days are having the time of their life the boomers, as they retire and they get in, they're really still active. There's many that are still active. Um, but the reason that I'm sharing this is because I notice how these thoughts can come up within me,
And then I'm like, oh, hell's no, Tom.
and then, which is another solution, surround
Right.
yourself with people that are, more active. And the truth is I am very fortunate. I'm physically fit and I can maintain fitness and I feel great and that kind of thing. So, I think it's really important that I go, wait a minute, is that a thought I want to buy into? How true is that? So I can work with my guidance, that, all right, well, maybe physically changes are happening. And it is a funny thing. Age just does happen. I mean, it's not like I I have any consciousness awareness of it, but I don't have to fall into those habit patterns of limitation. And then one of the things that strikes me, so maybe that's a first benchmark. Is like, is this a limiting thought, or is this a thought that's going to expand me? And
Well
then what do I
said.
want to replace it with? And, I noticed that I might take a little more time to do something, but I still can follow the same procedures. And I noticed, I'm very active. Like I worked yesterday, then I had a gig, and I'm a drummer. So as you know, and I'm
Oh, I
packing up and
know.
unpacking and lugging in and setting up and uh, all that, and then playing 3 hours, 3 sets of music and that kind of thing. And I did notice that after, I think, a 5-hour shift I had yesterday, that, I was a bit tired and I wasn't as fresh at the gig as I have been, because gig might be 3 hours set, but it's like it's at least 2 more hours probably, you
Setting
know,
up, taking
and
down.
then a drive home and that kind of thing. And actually, I feel so fortunate that I'm able to do all that. And if I actually ask myself, how do I feel inside? I feel great. I feel like a young man inside. And of course, I'm tired. A young person would be tired after a similar schedule in the same day. So I think, the other solution would be uh, use it or lose it. Use my opportunities to learn new things. I was talking to a fellow yesterday as I was helping him at work, and he was a bit older than me, I'd say, maybe about the same age or something. And he'd been retired for 11 years. That's why I think he's a bit older. But he had said that he was learning classical guitar,
Mm.
and how he had tried before, but, now he's got some time. And I thought, that's great, because he's going to use his brain and he's going to use his fingers. And, it takes some time to develop that skill, but, go for it, kind of a thing. And I think uh, our friend Dr. Paul Kellogg shared something in a recent episode. The last episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual that you recorded was, what's the secret to enthusiasm? And it was my words, but find something that turns you on, or really, you know, feels good to be involved with and inspire you. And, the way he put it, it was like that little, hey, I feel like doing this, or let's get into that. So off you went. And that, from that little spark, the enthusiasm can build. And I think it comes full circle to what you're saying is that, you don't, why look back, in 10 or 15 or 20 years and go, oh, I could have done this, or I could have done that. I think your guidance was probably when we pass on. Those are some of the conversations we have. You had all this time, or you were about to, as long as you stayed the course and followed your feelings and followed your heart, you were going to round the bend. And we were setting that up for you, or that
Yeah, I was
kind of
just going to
thing.
go into the feeling of it, because that's really for myself, that's an important aspect of the spiritual part, because we can't see the spiritual part, but we can feel it. And it starts with that feel, and then that think, and then that acting on stuff. So, the feeling and intellect, which we talk about a lot, and recognizing for myself and honoring the different cycles that everybody's in. Like my daughter, she's in her 20s, like that's a whole different cycle than where I'm
Cycle of
at.
maturity, 28.
Yeah. And so are half of the people I work with are in that cycle. And so they are maturing, they're growing, they're expanding. And so am I. I like what you said about, all the way to the end, because people just like, I don't know, there's this give up mentality.
Or, yeah, I can rest on my laurels, or I can sit here in this chair. And in fact, I just want to interject, like, that's the idea, the concept that they have about success.
Yeah. And that's what really brings them down.
Yeah.
And I know for you too, and really for both of us, being around a lot of younger people, it does also inspire me, because their energy is still very high, and they're, excited about life, or they're having experiences that excite them. But then you get around a bunch of old people, and oftentimes they can be Debbie Downers, and they can bring the energy down, because they've lost that luster for enthusiasm, the luster for really being in the present and really enjoying life. And I think that's why grandkids are so wonderful, because it's a whole new, journey of a new soul coming in, and all the experiences. And so that's what I notice in that aspect, because it's just such a beautiful moment in time to know, okay, here comes the next generation.
Yeah, it's a healing, to be in that energy that's, reincarnated in from D zone, delight, destination, direction. And they re-inspire us, because they're just all feeling, and it reminds us, oh yeah, that's where I begin and end, is, back in the world of spirit and the world of feelings. So anyway, so that's part of my
what's
statement
one
about
key?
cycles of life.
Yeah.
So every 7 years, and I'm in the cycle of inner peace, greatest works, those kind of things. Later cycles, you're in the cycle of decision. And other folks are in different cycles.
What's a key to wind this up with some inspiration for the listeners out there, and whatever cycle they're in?
Stay the course.
All the way to the end. That's all. Stay the course.
Well, every day is an unfoldment.
Well, I mean, it can be that simple, honestly.
Yeah, every day can be an unfoldment.
Spiritual growth is not a race. It's a gradual progression. You do not have to spend 24 hours a day working on it in order to feel more inner peace, deeper connection to your soul purpose, and feeling more confident in your daily life. The journey is all about balancing your physical and spiritual worlds. These two worlds are supportive for embracing the foundations of the real you. By just investing minutes a day for your spiritual part as you would invest in your house or other areas of your life. To gather more direction, clarity, and a new layer of inner awareness, check out the ebook set created by the Wayshowers College. Link and discount code in show notes. As the Earth's crust shifts and changes, our lives do the same. One way to maneuver through the small and large moments that shake us to the core is by reviving your connection to spirit, gathering ways to cleanse your energy field, embracing spiritual awarenesses to give you a bigger picture, and knowing that you are not alone on your journey can be a great support. The Soul Quake Survival Guidebook is a great companion to meet you where you're at and support reviving your connection to spirit in earth-shaking times. Get your copy today through Amazon worldwide in paperback, ebook, or in audio, and begin embracing more clarity, inner peace, and enthusiasm for your life and what you've come to do.
So my takeaway from the cycle of life is to just recognize for myself and the listener is that just recognize where you're at, and recognize that everyone else around you may be at different places. Like even Tom and I were at different cycles. So just recognizing that as we move through the day and move through our lives together makes a difference, because he's 11 years older than me. So there's a big difference, cycle. That's almost 1.5, sevens, right? 7 times 2 is 14.
I'm way ahead of you.
Yeah, you're way ahead of me. And so I recognize that, I have a lot more life than you left. All right. So thank you for listening to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. We hope that you gain some insights on whatever cycle you're in, maybe some inspiration to really enjoy it and to participate fully, especially with those around you who are in their cycles. So until next week, remember that
Life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey.
To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.